Okay, what if I told you that the most important force shaping our world, our bodies, and even our best ideas is just pure raw chance? I mean, look at this. This book cover makes a huge claim that randomness is nothing less than the measure of life.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Our first instinct is to push back on that, right? We spend our entire lives trying to create order, to predict things, to get rid of unpredictability. We tend to see randomness as the bad guy, as pure chaos. But what if we've got it all backward? The whole point here is that chance isn't the enemy of order. It's the very thing that creates it. It's the source code. Okay, this is a big idea. Let's dive in. First up, we're going to go small, like really, really small. We're going right to the blueprint of life itself to see how chance plays a role in our DNA.
We've all seen this shape a million times, the famous double helix. And it's easy to think of it as this perfect, unchanging instruction manual for how to build a living thing. But the reality is, it's more like a living document, one that's constantly being revised generation after generation.
And the main way that editing happens is through something called a genetic mutation. I know, mutation sounds like a scary word, but at its core, it's just a change, a permanent tweak. And here's the kicker, it's almost always a completely random event. It's like a roll of the biological dice. And that process, well, that's the engine of evolution. Every single time DNA makes a copy of itself, there's a chance for a random slip-up that might create a totally new trait. Most of the time, these little changes do nothing, but every now and then, one of them gives an advantage. Nature says, yep, I'll keep that one, and life takes a tiny step forward.
So this is the crucial part. These random changes aren't a flaw. You know, a bug in a computer program breaks the whole thing. This is different. This is the program. It's the system's main feature. It's how life is designed to constantly innovate and adapt.
Okay, so randomness is literally building our bodies. Pretty wild. But what about our minds? Let's switch gears and see how this same idea of chance is the secret ingredient for human creativity. Just think about it for a second. When was the last time you had a great idea? You know, that aha moment that just pops into your head out of nowhere. I'm willing to bet you didn't get there by following some perfectly logical, step-by-step checklist.
Yeah, probably not. So let's try looking at creativity in a new way. What if it isn't about pure logic at all, but more like a kind of productive, ordered chaos? A little dance between structure and chance.
I mean, imagine a clockwork brain. Perfectly logical, totally predictable, but it could never surprise you. It could never have a truly original thought. But a random brain, one that lets in a little unpredictability, that's where the good stuff comes from. That's where you get innovation, intuition, that spark of what it means to be human. So all that electrical static, that so-called noise buzzing around in our heads, maybe it's not a distraction. Maybe it's the very thing that connects two totally separate ideas for the first time, creating a brand new insight. Okay, now we're going to zoom all the way out. We've talked biology, we've talked psychology, now let's look at the fundamental rules of the entire cosmos. That die on the cover, it's not just a symbol for risk or gambling. It's actually pointing to a really deep truth about how reality itself is put together.
When you roll a die, you can't know for certain what number will come up, right? You only know the odds. Well, it turns out the universe works the exact same way. Thanks to quantum physics, we know that at the most fundamental level, you can't know the exact position of an electron. You can only know the probabilities of where it might be. The universe is built on maybe, not definitely.
So when you look at the big picture, the amount of stuff in our universe that is absolutely 100% predictable is tiny. Almost everything is governed by the laws of chance and probability. The cosmos is constantly rolling the dice. So let's bring it all back together. It seems like we need a totally new definition of randomness, one where it's not the enemy, but our greatest ally. So what is randomness, really? It's the engine of evolution. It's the spark of creativity, and it's woven into the very fabric of reality itself. And that leads us to the most powerful idea of all. Randomness is not what happens when order breaks down. It's the raw, fertile ground from which all new, complex, and beautiful kinds of order can grow. So I'll just leave you with this final thought, straight from the book's title. If the richness and the wonder of life are really measured by its randomness, then how can you make a little more room for that beautiful, creative chaos in your own life?